This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Why does the church embrace ritual, costumes, and the crucifix? They really are of man, not of God. This time, Reddit's OpenChristian community talked about the Christian symbols and whether they really carry any power. The original post writer asks if the symbols like the five-pointed star, incense, icons, and even the crucifix are powerful too, or just look cool. These symbols mean something, or are they just to let others know you are Christian? Some comments said they matter. Some said they don't. And some advised not to follow the old ways and look at the modern world from a modern perspective. One comment talked about symbols being a form of art. The comment said that the meaning varies from person to person. Some look at the Last Supper as a source of study. They study the body language of the people depicted in the paintings to understand the relationships they had with one another. Such discussions are the way to go in life. Discussions open us up to new perspectives and make us emphatic. At Sunshine Cathedral, we look at every ritual, costume, and crucifix as a celebration of our diverse identities and spiritual journeys. These elements serve as powerful symbols of our faith, resilience, and commitment to the inclusion. Rituals provide us with a sense of community, connection, and meaning. Costumes are to allow us to express our authentic selves and celebrate our gender identities and expressions. They help us reclaim our bodies and spirits as holy and worthy of reverence. As LGBTQ+ people of faith, we embrace faith and its symbols to express our divine sacred truth. And the congregation said, amen. I mean, this is what it's all about. The symbols in and of themselves, to me, don't have power. They show maybe that you have a certain thought process, that maybe you feel a certain way. And you talk about it often. When and how did an execution item become a symbol of faith? When would we wear something that had, that looked like an electric chair? Probably not. And because through the millennia, the symbol has become just a way of saying that I have a certain way to believe. Now, I remember growing up in the Baptist church, we talked about the difference between the Catholic cross and the Protestant cross. In my church, the pastor used to say, well, Jesus didn't stay dead, so he got up off that cross, which is why the Protestant cross, according to this preacher, didn't have Jesus on it. Whatever the symbols mean,
the Romans would have taken the body down anyway.
I'm telling you, the body was gone.
They were not going to leave it up.
Whatever the symbols mean, it is an expression of self.
Yeah.
If this is how you feel, then wear the crucifix, wear the five-point cross, wear whatever you choose to, and maybe it'll open a conversation if someone sees you wearing that and they say, hey, what's up with that? And I think that's a great place to be.
Yeah, I was a very high church in my youth, and pretty low church in my middle age. The golden calf does trouble me sometimes because people get so attached to it, and then so they don't let themselves see past it. Symbols should never point to themselves. Mm-hmm. Symbols point beyond themselves to a greater mystery, a greater reality, a longer search. So the minute it becomes about the symbol, then it's in the way. On the Mount of Transfiguration, they're having an experience, and Peter wants to nail the experience down. Let's build shrines for Elijah, Moses, and Jesus. And immediately, the gospel writer, Mark, says he didn't know what he was talking about. He didn't know what he was saying. He didn't know what to say. So yeah, that's what we want. So when the symbols becomes that, this is what it is, and it can be anything else, then I think it becomes problematic. Also, symbols start out usually being very functional, and then we forget why we started them. Do you remember the kid asked his mother, why do you always chop the ends of the roast off? It's because my mother did this, how you do it. And so he asked his grandma, why do you always chop that? And she said, because my pan only would hold so much, so I had to chop off the ends to make it fit. So it became the way you make roast, but there was a reason. The kneeling rails in a lot of churches, where you go and you kneel, maybe to receive communion. A lot of Episcopal churches still do that. Before Vatican II, the Catholic Church did that. I think Methodists still do that. They have the kneeling rails. You go and you kneel. Well, that's for reverence. You kneel in the presence. In the Middle Ages, that was to keep chickens and goats away from the altar. It was a fence. And it served a purpose. All of these, and we call them vestments, usually not costumes, but or I call them drag. I think our drag, we look like Roman senators, because that's from when Constantine switched over and made Christianity the state religion. And so all of these priests and bishops start looking like senators. And so the stole, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Also, that was a scarf that kept your neck warm. And so on. And so everything, like, it's served for a practical reason, and then it just becomes rote, and then we put meaning into it. And all of that is fine, and all of that is extra. I said just in my Sunday homily, though, let's not confuse the party favors as the reason for the party.
I like that.
These things are just, we like them, they're for us, they're fun. They create a sense of awe and wonder, maybe. I had a friend who was Baptist, and now she's not really anything. And she said, well, I wish I'd grown up Catholic, because maybe I'd still like church if I'd grown up having pretty things to look at. There's a thing to it, aesthetics. Some of the greatest art and architecture and philosophy and music has come out of religion. And so it's all good. The candles represent, the fire of the Spirit. And those high churches that bring the gospel into the congregation to read it, that's bringing the word to the people. It's all like a play, and the play has a point. And that's fine. But once we start just chopping the roast up, because that's the way it's always been done, we've lost the point. We're wasting meat. I mean, it's so I think it serves us, but the minute we're serving it, we have screwed it up.
Yeah, my mother just got a bigger hot roast pan. She didn't wear, we had too many kids that were worried about wasting and cutting meat off. We just got a bigger pan. I got 14 kids to feed. But, I think for me, the point of this story is like, that old verse that reminds me, thou shalt make no graven image before me, and it's not about the symbols. I mean, I used to wear a cross for a very long time. And it wasn't about the cross and what it represented. Like, it's because I inherited that cross from my mother. And I love that. That was my connection to her more than it was about anything else. The cross I wear on Sunday. I would not normally probably wear a cross on Sunday, but because it belonged to one of our deacons who at the Sunshine Cathedral, when he gave it to me, he says, I'm going to loan this to you until I die, and then I'll give it to you. Well, thank you, Deacon C.J. Ashton, because, I have the cross and you're not getting it back right now. So I'm thinking it's about, what it means for us to wear these things versus, this whole demonstration of let's not turn these things into to idols. Let's not turn these things into, we don't worship them more than we do what we really should be focused on in the big picture. So,
do you remember the pink triangle? We don't use it so much anymore, but like in the 90s and 80s, pink triangle was a big, and that was, one of the ways that Nazis identified gay people in concentration camps. Yellow for lesbian, pink for gay men. Or was it black for lesbian? What was yellow? Anyway, there were all these marks in color for the different marginalized groups, and pink was gay men. I have a pink, well, it's now flesh tone because it's 100 years old, but a pink triangle tattoo. And so that's what the cross is for me. It is a terrible thing. It reminds us of a terrible thing and how we got past it. It's a never forget sort of thing. So I don't venerate the cross. The cross is a terrible thing, but it didn't get the last word.
Right.
We're still here. It didn't shut up Jesus. It didn't shut up the gospel. And I said on Sunday, the cross's importance to me is that it failed.
Right.
And so that cross is up there to show us that it failed. It was empire's attempt to silence a message and to intimidate a movement, and it failed. And so that's why it's important to me. And so if the only way I can have it up there, and we have it off to the side, it's not featured, but it can only be there because I can contextualize it like that and tell people, don't make too much of that. And then if they choose to anyway, they can. I mean, I'm not in control of anybody's mind, but we do challenge them. Yeah, this was a terrible thing. Meanwhile, we cross ourselves.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. That's a reminder that it failed. It's also a reminder, good people, Jesus was a good person. Good people suffer. And part of our job in life is to be here helping good people suffer less. And so, yeah, they mean what we say they mean, but when we let them define us, that's when they're a problem.
Yeah. And, and I like how worship experience about you, a question like, you will very seldomly see me and I worshiping across myself. And because that's not a part of my upbringing, my tradition. And so I think that's the breadth of how we also worship, is that you do what's reflective of what is spiritual meaning to you. And that's what you bring to all of this, and not make it be something that it's not. Next up, we are excited to tell you about our next adventure with our Global Fellowship. In 2024, we are going to where the hills are alive as we explore Austria and Alpine Europe for Gay Oktoberfest. Join Darrell and Kevin and myself as we journey to enjoy the sound of music. Space is extremely limited, so make sure to go to happeningout.travel/sunshine and make your reservation today. Do not delay. Make it happen today.